uh, on that. Do we have a mic at all? Or
No.
No, okay.
No. And maybe use it one, so.
Okay.
Yeah. And then,
Yeah. Thank you.
Jack and stuff like that, we probably just said on this chair. If you want.
Thank you. Okay. So do we want that on the front?
Do this on purpose, but this
Do
is
we
gonna,
want any- just like one or two?
this is where I say I'm gonna put all the people out. 20% of them is gonna be here.
You guys need any slides up?
I don't know.
Did you send anything to?
We did. I know my assistant did. I don't know what Perry had planned for the slides.
Okay, do you have the slides, Kimmy?
No, that nothing was given to us.
Okay. Yeah, we can just, if you want to have, just have them send it to Kimmy right now.
Is Perry zooming in or is he's not able to attend at all?
And I'm not sure either.
I know he had, I believe he only asked for some marketing things.
I know his son is sick, so I don't know if he's zooming in or not.
Yeah, he did.
If you wanted to, yeah, there you go. Then we could send something to Kimmy. If you want.
Oh. You guys wanted to have something you wanted, but
Oh, no, that's.
Okay, so quick sound check question. Jose, are you a Vikings fan?
I'm a Vikings fan.
Okay, do you believe the Vikings will,
100%.
Vikings will win this coming weekend?
I hope.
We all. A lot of.
I was at the Colts game, and we came back, right? We made history, so.
I don't know if that's something we like to make history. No, we made history.
So could they hear that okay? Are you getting thumbs up from people?
They're up there for you.
Okay. All right. Now, okay. Hey, John, get aboard. Do you have a minute just to do a quick walk around and let people know that we're going to begin? Great, thank you. Okay, so we'll be able to do something. Welcome.
Okay, we're here. And
Well, this is, you're gonna be a big part of this. Welcome, and we're here with Jose today. Show us.
Last name Hilario.
All right.
Hilaro.
Hilario.
So I'm filling in for Perry, and I'm Matt. And what we're gonna do before we really begin with Jose, and I talked to him briefly this morning. So we're just gonna make this, Jose, this is Kimmy running the screens. All right. This is Kim Guild right here, one of our top agents in the office here. This is Robin Ray right here. Robin's our loan officer. She's with New American Funding out of this market center. This is Lindsay Rothenall over here. Again, another one of our top agents. These two just recently were on our ALC. Okay. Online, Kimmy, who do we have online since I can't see it?
Ashley Champagne. Is that
Okay. All right.
Candy, she's the DAS at Minnetonka.
Okay.
And Rebecca, Jane, she's up in Buffalo. Laura Nil. I
Okay.
think.
Wonderful.
Liza.
Great.
That's on my team.
Okay.
Margaret, Melissa Maury, Perry, obviously.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, the reason why, Kimmy, thank you. So those of you online, Kimmy's going to help us and she's going to monitor this as far as the chat. If you have a question as we begin and as we begin our conversation with Jose, that we really want to involve you folks online as well as the individuals in the room. So as we begin this today, I'm going to learn a great deal about Jose as well as we're doing this. Look at their phones already going off. Okay, so we encourage interaction. So we're going to learn from Jose just who he is, how he came to this point where he's sitting with us today. I have some questions, but we're really just going to kind of let Jose. I'm grateful to be in this chair. I'm going to learn a great deal from you today, so thank you. So we're going to begin with, tell us real estate. You just told me a moment ago, I think it was toward the latter part of 2016, you said, right? Okay, so why don't you tell us online and in the room, tell us your real estate story, where it began.
Okay. So when the reason why I got into real estate in 2000, I used to be a door-to-door salesman for Comcast. Okay. We used to go to your house, we'll knock on your door, say, hey, my name is Jose. I'm the agent for the neighborhood. wondering what you're using for cable internet, all that good stuff. And then you get a feel for people and you get a feel for if they want to shut the door on your face. And then you start taking a step back and you act like you're going to leave. And then you say, you know what, before I leave, here's my business card. And, kind of try to build a relationship with that. So when it came to Comcast, we're doing good things. We're making good money. But what they would do every year is they would change the comp plan. When it came to the end of the mid 2016, they ended up changing the comp plan in a way that it kind of looked like I wasn't going to be able to make the amount of money that I wanted to make and the amount of money that I was used to making. Actually another agent from the office, Trey Adams, and we used to work together. And he said, you know what, I'm staying. We always figure it out. And I went home, and then the next week I said, you know what, you're right. We always figure it out. I'm going to stay. They said, no, you are right. I'm leaving. And he asked me what I was going to do. I said, I'm going to get into real estate. I bought my first home and bought it, paid $135,000 for it, fixed it up. And I said, you know what, that's what I want to do. The other thing is that I had a broker. At the moment, I didn't know he was a broker, but he was an agent, and he helped me purchase my first home. He was wanting to recruit me, so I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. Then we went back and I said, you know what, Trey, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get licensed. He said, I already signed up for real estate school. I said, no, you didn't. He's like, yeah. I'm like, when you told me what you were doing, that's exactly what I was doing. We just never talked about it. So we ended up going to real estate school, and then I ended up going. We kind of split ways for about a month. I went to that broker, a small broker, and I actually, funny thing is, my wife had just given birth.
Okay.
And I ended up leaving my full-time job where I was making good money to get into real estate. One story with that, I had a friend, a childhood friend, his mom, she was in real estate for a long time. I called her and I said, hey, I'm in real estate. What are you doing? I'm like, I left my old job. I'm there. She said, no, why did you do that? I was like, wait, not the conversation I was hoping to have, right? So I went to that broker and I was there for about 2 weeks. And when I was at my previous job, they had really good training for about 3 months. I was there for about 2 weeks. I showed up and the guy said, you know what? We don't charge you anything. You can use the printer. We don't charge you for it. And I said, okay, great. What's the training? You're a salesman. Just go out there and convince people to buy and sell homes with you. What? So I was there, I'm like, all right, well, let me give it a shot. I was there and he, kind of tried to go to some open houses. It was in December. Not really much moving. I said, you know what? I'm not learning anything. I ended up calling around. I met with Julia Israel. And I said, look, Julia, I'm used to a certain lifestyle. My wife just gave birth. I need to make some money. I need some training. This is what happened. And then I met with her, and then I came to Keller Williams, signed up for everything. I was in Ignite. I went to Bold. I did everything. So I got into real estate, and so in October, I left my previous job. Now I took Ignite. I was knocking doors in the winter. I mean, I was like this, knocking doors, just like this, dress shoes, everything. I'm knocking doors in the middle of the winter, and I was building my pipeline. The reason why I thought real estate would work is I built my own business with Comcast. I said, if I can do that, but it's something that I can manage and I can build my clientele, I can keep that going instead of now Comcast trying to take that away with the way that they changed their comp plan, which I could only make money selling here. So I, get into real estate, take Ignite. I'm working, I'd say 60, 70, 80 hours a week, every week. Leave Comcast in October. September 1st, I have not made a dime of the next year. So we're talking about 10, 11 months. When if I go back in about June or July,
Can I pause you real
Yep.
quick? Okay, this is what, I appreciate this. So, you leave Comcast, you said, was it October?
in October.
October. So then the following year, so you go ultimately through September.
Mhm.
Now you said your wife just had a baby.
My wife just had a baby.
Now what?
Second.
Second baby, okay, second child. And So now we have multiple months here. Are you about to say no income?
10 months, yep.
10 months, okay. Trying to put it in perspective.
10, 11 months. And not just the income. Because I was going in, I was working 60, 70, 80 hours. Day in and day out. We were in Ignite, and Julia didn't say it, and we had accountability groups, Ignite, and Bold. And Julia said, you know, like we had a conversation. She said, I can't believe you didn't, you know, at some point I was scared for you. If we go back to like June or July, my wife asked me, she said, Jose, you know, I'm looking at the account. I see the money, you know, maybe this is just not meant to be. And I put my big boy pants on and I said, when have I let you down? She said, never. I said, well, this is not going to be the exception. I need you to trust in me. Then I'll turn around. I'm like, oh my God, like I need to make something happen. Right. And I was not concerned because I trusted in the work that I had put in. Right. So if you're doing the right things, you're going to get results. Something that I believe is if you like hard work always pays off. You want to do it smart and you want to do it focused. You want to do the right activities, but it will always pay off. So yeah, so in this the other thing. So it was also learning the business. I had clients when I was doing door-to-door sales. It was you need to find clients, right? So I was finding the clients, just the deals weren't closing. And then when I got my first deal, it was pretty much like if that deal didn't happen, man, I like money was pretty much gone, right? So the deal happened, and I ended up closing 20 deals from September 1st through December 31st.
So in a 4 months span,
I
20
did
deals.
20 deals. And that was my first year. Yeah. So the other thing is I started in December, but I really started with Keller Williams January 2nd or 3rd because of the holidays. But yeah.
And again, I love what you just said there too. So the right work produces results. So again, you mentioned your door knocking, you're in the accountability group.
I'm
So
doing
Ignite.
accountability group, Ignite,
Okay.
and Bold.
Tell us a little bit about, so in that 10-month span, like you said, you had the conversation with your wife. What's your wife's name?
Marta. Yep.
And you have 2 kids?
We have 2 kids,
All right. Their ages?
11 and he's 6. He's gonna be 7. soon.
Okay, wonderful. So you're having those conversations, and I love the trust conversation you had with your wife.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about many of the people in the room, and I imagine online too, are in accountability groups as well. What did the accountability groups do for you? That because you're going and you're doing these activities, yet the closings aren't happening yet during those months, and you're doing the right work, and you're trusting in yourself, your wife's trusting in you. What did the accountability groups do for you?
When it comes to accountability, it's keeping you accountable. And then also if, for example, me, I was new, I needed to learn to do the right activities. And then at the end of the day, you're going day in or every week, you're meeting with these guys and you got to make sure that you did, you know, if you're setting goals, that you're meeting those goals. And it comes, and at the end of the day, it comes down to the activities. Are you doing the right activities? And are you actually doing what you're committing yourself to doing?
Okay, I love that you just said, so now what we're going to do is, now this was 2016, 2017, that time frame up until the last quarter, last 4 months of 2017 is when you did the 20 deals. Okay. Tell us what you just did in 2022. What was your, and then this is where we're going to go is what you did. We connected a little bit because you said you look at transaction size units.
Yep.
And then we'll learn a little bit about your team then.
Okay.
Okay. So tell us 2022.
And 2022, we did 72 transactions. And we're actually down from 2021. So 2021, we did 98. Okay. And yeah, so we did 72 transactions last year.
Okay. Awesome. Congrats. Because again, now this is going back to the activities, going back to doing those things and actually having those unit sides. Now tell us about when you say we, who's we? Who's this team?
Myself, Anna, that is here, Liza, that is online. And then my brother Victor, and then also Israel.
Okay. So if you don't mind, what's I think
What are the roles?
exactly,
Yep.
because are you the only one doing the selling?
I'm the only one doing selling. I'm the
Okay.
only agent on the team producing.
Okay. 72 units, 90 some units. All right. What would you say on that note? We're going to learn a little bit more about your team and their roles. But what would you say, Jose, as far as work week wise and hours wise? You mentioned your wife, your kids. How many hours are you putting in per week, would you say, in the last couple of years? What's your routine?
I'd say it's gotten better the last year. And when I say better, I think I have more, I'm working less hours, right? When I started, I was probably, I'd say consistently 80 hours a week is what I was doing, at the beginning. Now I can say that I've sold enough where I can reap the reward without having to work as much. And not necessarily that I'm not working as much, but I'm doing focused activities. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm negotiating contracts. I'm going on appointments, and I'm lead generating. Those are my focus. So negotiate contracts, lead generate, and going on appointments.
Okay, wonderful.
And then when it comes to my team, because you did ask that,
Yep.
so Anna here, she's the director of first impressions, or the director of operations, I'm sorry. Liza is the director of first impressions. When it comes to Anna makes sure that I'm doing what I need to do. Anna she manages the team, and then she also makes sure that I stay focused, and that if I'm doing something I'm not supposed to be doing, because I'm a little bit of a control freak. Julia.
Yeah, all right.
So Julia, when I was in training, she told me to hire earlier than I did, which was a mistake that I didn't do just because I was okay, right? Like I'm okay, I'm doing it.
Right.
And you think that by doing everything, you have more control, which at the end of the day, no, you got to focus on certain items and then make sure that someone who specializes in that, which they're going to be even better than you, that they handle those things so that you can produce more and the team can produce more.
Right. Well said. Well said. Love the makeup of the team. What's a typical day? Thanks, Lindsay. She had another appointment she's heading to. What's the makeup as far as your team? What's a day in the life of your team? What's it look like?
Okay. So what I do is, and then you asked about also, if we go back, you asked about like, what does it look like time wise? What does my schedule look like? What I do is I do the exact same thing every day. Anna said something that I remember. Anna's like, you have a template for everything, don't you? Yes. I have pretty much a template for every conversation that I have, every email that goes out, everything, every appointment that I have. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. Ask the same questions. You're gonna get a certain amount of answers, and then you have to have a solution for it. And on that note, we're problem solvers. People have a problem. People have a need. They have a real estate need. We have to find a solution for those problems, and that's why people are looking for a professional. But I do the exact same thing. When I get to the office, I have a checklist. It revolves around negotiating contracts. It revolves around listing appointments, offers that we submitted, follow up with the agent, follow up with the clients, and then also, I mean, it's pretty much. I can pull up the checklist, but it's pretty much the same thing. It's go on appointments, make sure to follow up with any offers that we submitted, check where we're at with the people on the contract, which goes back to negotiating contracts. If we have appointments, make sure that I get ready for that. What kind of questions am I going to ask? What does their situation look like, so that when they show up, I'm ready.
Great.
But if I can drive this point, it's the exact same thing every day.
Well, I love that. And again, that's for those of you in the room that I was telling Jose earlier. Typically, when we do these, the room either in person or online is made up of 20% of individuals are what I would say is kind of a peer agent with Jose, meaning probably like number of transactions, units, those types of things. And their goal for actually listening or just tuning into these types of interviews, conversations is like, I just want to pick something. We're very like-minded, but Jose just said something, you're going to take that one thing and move away with it. 20% of the other individuals, either in the room or online, are coming to this and listening. And where I'm going with this is I want you to come up with some questions, because you're going to be in one of these categories. But the rest of you, some of you are in this, like, I'm new to the business, like he was in 2016. Maybe you just got your license within the last couple of months, or your license over the last year. And your goal here is like, there's a number of things that Jose already mentioned that you're like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. But he also talked about doing the right things and taking action on those. So just take one thing and you move forward with that action. most of the people in the room here or online are going to be in that group where, you know what, I've been doing real estate for a while. And it's kind of that phrase, we all know what to do, yet we're not doing it. Why? And you just hit on it, Jose, it's the routine. Jake Lures has always said to me before, just ask the same questions to the people you're talking to over and over and over again. What we don't realize is when we have that routine and we have those same questions, we're consistently practicing.
Exactly.
And we're using the consumers in this case as our leverage to help us actually fine tune our skills. So even as you did all that door knocking with Comcast, that was just leading up to where you are today. So, okay, so that being said, you're in the room, and I would say those of you that I just said, think of what's that next step you're going to take. You know what to do. You haven't been doing it. You're going to hear something from Jose. It's going to trigger that. You're going to take an action. What's that next step going to be? So think of your questions here. So in the time frame that we've talked about, Perry has this question here. From when you began to right where we're at now, what's the biggest mistake that you've made? And you would say to others, don't do this. What would you say the biggest mistake is?
That's a good question. When it comes to the biggest mistake, I would say you have to find lenders, and you have to find a team that you trust. If you have the right lender, you have the right title company. What happened to me the first year is I had the deals, but for some reason the transactions were not closing. When it comes to mistakes, I mean, a lot of people think that first year might have been a big mistake, but it wasn't. I like it. I do enjoy the fact that I did have to struggle. I think that things that are worth it take time and take hard work, and you have to wake up every day. You have to be willing to fight for it. The only other thing that I could think of is when it comes to buying leads, I've never bought leads. I've never bought one lead, ever. I think you produce the leads. And how do you produce the leads? By knocking doors, by calling. If I can go on that topic of leads, the people around you, your friends, your family, they want to work with you. If you're a newer agent, they want to work with you. They want to know though that you can get the job done. You cannot be a secret agent. And then aside from that, the leads that you have to be consistent on calling them. You have to be consistent on following up with them. And then at the end of the day, you have to do a good job for them. You have to keep in mind that their needs, they're their priority. If the clients, you have to put their needs before them, fiduciary duties. As long as you're doing a good job by them. I'll say this too with that is I'd say on a 95% of our clients are referrals. I actually don't do any marketing anymore. We're trying to be more active on social media, which at the beginning I was active on social media a lot, but we really don't need to do marketing to spend so much money on that, which is where a lot of people spend money, because we're doing the right activities and because we're treating our clients right, and we're always asking for referrals. You have to ask for the business.
Okay, right there. Let's stay on that for a moment, because I was going to say, what is your, we hear the phrase like the touch system, how often we're connecting with those people in our database or our sphere, but you just said we ask for the referrals. What does that look like? Tell us a little bit more. What do you mean by that, by asking for a referral?
When it comes down to the clients, we do have so we follow up after the client closes. We do follow up, but I do always ask, do you have any friends, any family members that could benefit from what you did, from what we did for you? And then I also, the way that I present it, already leads them into that. I say, hey, look, this is, I always talk about the fiduciary duties, and that's important. And that's actually the best selling point that you could do, because you're talking to them about how much you care and exactly what you're going to do for them. And then I touch on that. You know what? I'm going to do a good job for you, so that you're affirming everyone that you know. If I don't do a good job, it's not just that I could possibly lose you, but I'm losing every single one of your referrals. So I'm going to do a good job for you first of all, but also if I do a good job for you, my business grows. If I do these things, which is what the law demands of us, right? Which is our duties as a real estate agent, you're gonna be happy. You're gonna refer us, and our business is gonna grow. The old saying, people only care, right? People only care, people. How does it go?
Well, ultimately, they just, how does it go? But they want to know that you care.
You know, you don't want to know that you
Yeah.
care. Yep.
You know how much you.
How much you
Right,
care.
how much you care.
Yeah.
So before I ask the next question, I want to just, with your group here, what's it look like your follow-up with this group? Do you do, within your database, and I'm not sure how, you mentioned, like, is it like quarterly calls? Is it, events or different things like that? How do you follow up with these individuals?
So we have events. We also have, we use command. We have emails. So we have emails that we touch. We have, newsletters that go out every month. And then we also have follow, plans. And that's something that we are in the middle of hiring one more person to focus on more of the touch, on the, just on the people that we necessarily haven't talked in a while. But when it comes down to it, we have emails, we have newsletters. We also, we congratulate people. We say thank you. When someone refers us, we make sure to say thank you. We send birthday cards. We send anniversary cards. That's pretty much, anything that I've missed on.
No, and I think every situation's a little bit different, you know, like you could say, oh, this person needs to be 3 months. We
Exactly.
make sure that we follow up with them in 3 months. Somebody might be 6 months, but.
Exactly. So
Client events?
what was that?
Do you do any client events?
We have not with COVID. We have some events planned and whatnot. We didn't do that, but we do have some planned for this year.
What I'm hearing and what I'm sure the people online and in the room is just a routine and that you do,
Routine.
and that's the thing. And again, you come back to the accountability. So a question I asked Jose earlier, which this is one of my favorite questions. And that is, so when you look at your business and we're in 2023 beginning, what is something that you're going to keep doing this year with you, maybe in your business, in your team, what you're going to keep doing? What is something that you're just going to flat out stop doing from your experience of actually learning? And what's something that you're going to start to do?
So when it comes to stopping, I don't know if there's anything that we're gonna stop, because we have, we did a really good job also last year in preparing the systems. We're tweaking the systems. The other thing that people don't realize is as your business grows, your business has to change. The only constant thing in life is change, right? So as your business grows, sometimes the systems that you had, I don't have the same systems that I've had. I mean, every year they've changed because of the demand, because of the amount of people that we have, and then as we hire, those things change. So I don't know if there's anything that I would leave behind, but with what I hear other agents say, I'll leave behind the negative things that have been said about the market, the economy. Those things are outside of your control. You can't control them, right? At the end of the day, guess what? People are going to buy, people are going to sell real estate, and they need someone. Are you going to be that someone? And then with that, just focus on the right activities, focus on the things that are important and the things that you can control.
Wonderful. Great lead into the market. That's one of the questions we have right here is right. So tell us, Jose, how you're responding to the market we're in right now. And I love what you just said. We got to take that negative and we just got to kind of like release it. So how are you helping your team? Kind of looking at the market, what are the conversations you're having? And then other individuals that, whether they be agents or so forth, tell us about how you see the market, where the market's going for you and your team.
When it comes to the conversation that I'm having with my team, it's pretty much the same conversations. At the end of the day, we're doing the right activities. As long as you're doing the right activities, the business is going to be there. If you show up, something's going to happen, right? And if you show up with intent, and if you show up with some focus, things are going to happen. When it comes to the market, there's always opportunities. There's always opportunities. If you look at the negative, as we say in Keller Williams, where you focus on expands, right? If you focus on the negative, that's what you're gonna see, and that's what's gonna grow, and that's what you're gonna receive. So we just focus on the things that we need to do. As long as you're focused, the right things are gonna happen. Lead gen, you have to always lead gen. You have to show up. Like again, first of all, you have to show up. My first year, I can honestly say I was at the office at least Monday through Friday, every day, right? You show up, something is gonna happen. And then the other thing is,
Could you repeat that?
What was
Could
that?
you just repeat that for the people online?
Yes, show up. We have about You know, we have a lot of seats open.
Yeah,
No,
right.
but show up. And with that, so when it came to even, you know, we can go COVID. During COVID, we worked from home for a little bit. As soon as we can go back to the office, we went back to the office. If you're an nowhere agent and you're working from home, you don't need to go to the office. Yeah, technically you don't need to go to the office, but where are you going to learn? Who are you going to surround yourself with that you can learn something from? And that's the culture of Keller Williams. And that's where, you know, I came into this business not knowing anything. I had hunger, I had drive, and I was going to put into practice, and I put into practice what I learned. But if you don't go to the office, if you don't show up, you're not going to learn. What was the other question that you had?
Well, that was it. I mean, I loved how you just said that because it goes back to, we're 30 minutes in. And I want to encourage you in the room or online, if you have a question, you know, now's a good time to ask it because we're getting back to, we all can sense from Jose that he definitely has drive. He definitely has passion as far as, again, I love the relationship with his wife, as far as having that trust conversation. But he's not going to let his family down. He's not going to let himself down.
Exactly.
So he's going to do the work. And he keeps going back to those activities, again, doing the right activities. And again, what are those activities that you would say are the most, you know, let's say net positive producing activities for you? What would you say? Is it door knocking? Is it, what would you say?
So I'm not door knocking anymore. Because my business is at a place that I don't need to do it anymore. And again, my business has changed. So the focus that I have has changed throughout these years. What I would say is everyone's business is different. The business that you have is going to be completely different than the business that I have. What's going to work for me, it's going to be different than what's going to work for you. A lot of people think, or what's the secret? What's the magic? I had an agent ask me, you know, I want to know your secret, your magic, pretty much that. And it's I told them similar conversation to what we're having. But he wanted the easy things, right? He wanted to find what's easy. And it's not that. You know, what I can say is that what we can all do is we can show up and we can work hard. I can door knock. Maybe that doesn't work for you. Your personality is different. Maybe you can hold events. You know, maybe open houses work for you. And again, as your business evolves, you need to evolve with it and you need to find what are the areas that you need to improve on. And then when it comes to my team right now, what I did slowly is, what am I doing that I no longer want to be in charge of? What am I doing that I don't want to have ownership over that? And when it comes to the team, we talk about that as well. When it comes to my team, like Anna, she owns her role. She owns her job. And I like that because if she owns her role, I can own mine. And then also she depends on me. She's my boss. A lot of people think I'm you know, like I'm the boss. No, she's my boss. She shows up and she says, Jose, I need you to do these things, and we do them. And we get it done. So at the end of the day, again, you need to show up for yourself and you need to figure out what's going to work for you and you focus on that. I have never looked at other agents and said, they're doing that, they're having success with that, I'm going to do that. I look at it as, does that work for me? You know, I mean, they do that, but that is not what's working for me. So when I find what's working for me, I'm going to do that as best as possible. And I'm going to try to do it better than anybody else. Not to compete with anyone, compete with yourself. And as long as you're competing with yourself and you're trying to do it for the right reasons, if you're looking to help people, and if you're putting good out there, the good is going to come back.
Well said. Well said. Questions, Joe?
Yeah, so let's go back to your beginning when you started with in real estate. So your door knocking set you up for your success for the future, right? So tell me your script. First of all, did you farm? You door knock?
No. I mean, I didn't know. When we're working so when I was doing door to door at my previous job, we would knock doors. All I knew is that what services they didn't have with Comcast, right? And then I knocked on them and I said, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. And at the end of the day, my approach was, let me try to build a relationship with them. Let me try to take something away, say, hey, my name is Jose. I'm the agent in the neighborhood. Do you guys own this home? Have you thought about making a move recently? If they say no, if they say yes, at the end of the day, it was about getting their contact information. I don't want to sell you there. Like if I sell you, and I'm not a sales agent, I want to help you, right? And if I come across as a sales agent, you're not gonna want to work with me. That's my personality against what I do. So it's like, I want to show you that I will do a good job for you, that I care about it. I'm gonna get your contact information and I'm going to follow up with you. When I was in accountability, my goal was to get 10 leads a week, that is pretty much the same. I try to get 10 leads a week. If I get 10 leads a week, you're gonna have some that are gonna fall through. You know, if I can get 10% of those 10 leads, I'm gonna make 100 transactions, which is always the goal.
What's your definition of lead? And then what time did you go door knocking?
For those online, the question was, what's your definition of a lead? And what time did you go door knocking?
Okay, so when it comes to door knocking, you want to knock doors when people are home. A lot of people say, well, it's dark. It's dark at 5 right now, right? Dark at 6 p.m. right now. Well, that's when people are home. If it's dark, it's dark. And then the other thing is when it is colder. I used to knock doors in the winter. Funny story. I remember the car that I had back then was a Suzuki Ariel. It was like this big. There was a storm, and I was knocking doors, and the car got stuck, and it's a hill up and a hill down. I pushed the car out by myself, and I was knocking doors. If I could say to give you an example, the first day that I knocked doors with someone from the team. They knocked doors at Comcast. The guy was an experienced guy. He knocked doors, sold the triple plate, went home. Like, wait, dude, I'm new. I need some coaching. And he went home. I stayed. I sold 3 triple plays, which if you make a triple play a day, keeps the bounce away, and you're making at least 6 figures a year, right? So that was the whole mantra around that. And I sold 3, right? So we were knocking doors. I couldn't get out. Car goes up and down. I eventually got out, right? But I was there. And then you follow up. So when it comes to the leads, what do I consider a lead? You have to get a name, you have to get a phone number, you have to get an email, and you have to have a conversation about real estate. And then you just follow up.
What was your ratio?
And I'm sorry, you don't necessarily have to get an email, but get a phone number. And then with the phone number, you can get the email. What is the ratio? You mean so I can put it to you this way. When we're knocking doors at Comcast, it was if you knock 75 doors, you got 1 sale. You knock 75 doors, you get a sale, and that's 6 figures a year, right? In real estate, if you knock 75 doors and you get 1 sale, it's more, right? It's a bigger sale. So that was my goal always. I get 1 sale from 1 sale a day.
Very good. Very good. Other questions in the room?
And then if I can bring it back, like, you got to find out what goal you want and then set a goal. I'm going to get 5 leads this week. And then out of those 5 leads, how many are going to turn into a sale? And then, also, and you can start actually at the sale. How many sales do I need? If I want to produce 50 transactions this year, how many leads do I get? And let me follow up on that. And then also get the leads. Like, what is your conversion rate? And then that's pretty much it.
I love how you just chunked that down. My coach would always say, chunk things down. Like you said, 75 doors to get 1.
Simplify.
Yep. You mentioned before with your team, let's get 10 leads a week.
Yep.
I like that. And then again, you even chunked it down. It's like, hey, maybe I'm going into something, we're going to get 5 right now. So love that. Just so we got any other questions from in the room, questions online, Kimmy, anybody on questions online?
You have a coach?
I don't have a coach.
Now, Joe, thank you for that question. That's going to lead in my next question. One of my favorite questions to ask people is that the question is, who are 3 people that you most admire or like and why? And I told Jose earlier that what I'd like to do with that is, who are 3 people within the industries in the time frame that you've been in real estate? So real estate specific. Who are 3 people? And you've already mentioned, I think, a couple of them. But why are you following those people, or why did you listen to those individuals? What was it that they shared that helped you out?
I would have to say the people at the office. So for example, Julia Israel,
Yeah.
she was big. When I started, she helped me. She helped me get going. I mean, again, I didn't know anything about real estate. And then also I would say I would say my team. I would say Trey Adams. We started together. We would compete. So we always talk trash to each other. I beat you this year. Well, I beat you last year. Well, if I beat you again, it's no longer a competition. So I would say like Graham Smith at the office, Michael Caslow, I would say someone that's helped me a lot in the way to establish the team. I said Laura Nils, I know she logged in, and Kami, right now her last name is Augustine. She was great. I was in her accountability group. She was amazing. I would say those people. And then at the end of the day, what I'm looking for is what can I learn? You have to be humble. When I walk into a room, I walk in with a clean plate. I don't know anything. What can I put on that plate? I'm gonna learn. You can learn something from everyone. You can learn something from a baby. You can learn something from, something like from my dog. I've learned things from my dog that I'm like, if he does that, that's the same thing how my kids think in the sense of, how to interact with them. You can always learn something. It doesn't matter how big the person is. It doesn't matter how quote unquote small. It doesn't matter if they're new, if they're old. There's something that they do that you can take away from it.
Very good. Very, very good. I tell you, one of the things I value is these conversations is I always get something just literally having the conversation. And okay.
And if I can go back to that too, what I look is like you wanna see the people who actually care about you and the intention that they have. If someone is willing to help, go ahead and ask. And that's the culture too that we have in our office. Everyone's willing to help. And if someone has a good, you get a feeling for people. If they have a good heart, if they want to help you, if they're open to answer your questions, ask that. And then find someone who you can trust and someone who you can ask the questions. One person that I have that I can always go to and ask a question to is my wife, Marta. Marta is going to tell me what she feels. If it hurts my feelings, it hurts. And if it hurts my feelings, she never thought about it. She's going to say it. Anna on the team is a lot like that. And just find people who care and who are going to tell you the honest truth. And when you hear something you don't like, take it in. If you get offended, you get offended. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But if it's something you can learn from, go ahead and apply it and try to be the best person you can be. And when it comes to excuses, right, you can have reasons or results. You cannot have both. And be open, be willing, show up, be willing to learn. Try to be the best person that you can be. As long as you're working to be the best person that you can be, you're gonna succeed. Life is about putting the right things out. The right things will come back.
What are you getting so far, folks?
Very positive and driven.
It's got to put in.
Right. I love the transparency you just mentioned with your wife and your team. As far as, again, we all, again, sometimes I'll think about, like, say, it's, we're all looking for feedback. Sometimes we don't want maybe that challenging feedback that someone's going to share.
Sometimes we don't like what comes back.
Right.
And sometimes we don't agree with it. I find myself, Honest told me a lot of things, and I'm like, I don't like that, or that's not right. And I go home, and we always joke about it. I'm like, I was home last night. It was 4 a.m. and I was thinking about the business, and I thought about what you said, and yeah, you're right. Let's make some changes, right? And then again, be humble, be willing to change, be willing to learn.
I love that, just because these are some of the notes that I've taken so far, just sitting up here. I loved it when you said, what works for you, meaning like you're taking in the information, you're learning, but again, your business is going to most likely be different than my business, yet find out what's going to work for you. And then within your team, I love that. Because sometimes people they'll try so many different things just to see if that's going to work. But again, you're just sitting there, does it work for me? And in this case, and my team.
Exactly. And then the other thing that's big is a lot of people they try something for a month. They try something for 3 months. It doesn't work. I was at an interview and someone said, I don't like the way that sounds. And it was something, don't look at the results. You want to look at the results, right? You do want to look at the results. But when do you quit what you're doing because quote unquote, you're not having results, right? I was having results. I had the leads, right? I had the appointments. I was going out. I was showing the homes. I was doing everything and I was seeing the results. The numbers are there. The only result I was not getting was the closing, right? So if you're having the right activities and you're getting the right leads, you need to learn how to close it. But that was my focus, where a lot of people were like, well, why didn't you quit? Well, I'm getting the results. You're not getting the money. Yeah, well, it's not about the money. It's about the leads. It's about creating the business. I had already done that when it came to door-to-door sales, and I knew my phone was ringing off the hook eventually. So as long as I do this, I know it's going to come back. And then just getting that, getting those systems and those things tweaked as to why they're not closing. They weren't closing because of the lender that I had, and also the title company that I had, building that relationship. And when a problem comes up, you have to solve that problem.
So kind of more of maybe a deep question for you. I just find it very fascinating and scary and just crazy that you went from December, or we'll just say January until September.
Yep.
And you kept, your head down, you kept doing what you're doing until you got the results. Through December, you got the 20 transactions. Give us some insight, if you can, on what made you keep, I know you had a family, I know you had a wife. What was it that kept you going and focused from January through September? I mean, like you said, you can continue, you can do this, what you're supposed to be doing every single day. But after a couple of months, did you get disheartened? Did you think about quitting? Like how did you get from point A to point B and keep yourself going?
That's a good question. And I did want to touch on that. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. People think that it's easy. People think, like you said, I'm a very positive person. I am. My uncle said a joke. He said, Jose always said, por lo menos, like saying at least. Well, everything went wrong, but at least, it's always fine that at least I have some leads, right? So yeah, it's that. Did I have doubt? Yes. Was it easy? No. When I had to go home that day and tell my wife, we don't have a sale. This is not closing. This deal was supposed to close in a week. Now it's not closing, right? It wasn't easy. So don't think that it's easy. It's more of, do you know what you need to do? Do you know the activities you're doing are the right activities? Do you have someone, are you seeing someone that's doing those activities and they're having success? Keep going. And I know, so the question with that question is kind of hard. Like, well, if I'm doing all of this and I'm not seeing the results, why, like, maybe I should stop and find something else. Have you had results in that before? Have you done something similar that you've had results? Is there someone at the office that's having results? Find someone alike. Like, what is their personality like? Are they always doing that? Or are they calling? When it got really cold, some days I wouldn't knock. I would make calls. When I hired my first 2 employees, we were talking about it yesterday. I told my wife, I said, I promise you I want to be home more now, because I hired 2 more people. When I hired those 2 people, I said, well, now I have two people on payroll that I need to pay. From like 5 people are home from 5 on, right? They get home at 5. They might eat, some people get there at 3, 4, they eat at 5, and then they're home for the night and then want to relax. When 5 p.m. hit, I was especially after I hired, I was making calls. At that point, I wasn't showing homes, right? So I could be more at the office. I could be calling. I was making calls from 5 to 9. Sometimes I would call them at 10, sometimes at 11 p.m. If they had already called me, right? If they had called me and I already had a good conversation with them, some of the clients would call at 10, 11 p.m. Oh, you called me at 10, 11 p.m. Oh, you think that's going to bother me? Oh, wait till you hear from me, right? So then I would call them back. So that, like the lead genning, and the results were there. Like the clues, success leaves clues, right? The results were there. So I knew it was a matter of time before I saw the results. So make sure that you're doing the right activities. Find someone who you trust, who you know has the best interest for you. Find a mentor and talk to them about what you're doing and see, this is what I'm doing, but I'm not seeing the results. Well, maybe you need to tweak the way you're presenting it. Maybe you need to tweak the way you present it, but also your mentality, your mindset. Because if you're coming from a place of, you know what, they're not going to sign with me, then they're not. They can see that. When I show up, I was having a conversation a few weeks ago with an agent, and he said, how do you get them to this, and how do you get them to sign the buyer contract? I'm like, well, they're going to sign it. they're gonna sign it. I'm presenting this, it's a benefit. They want to buy a home, right? And then I'm gonna talk to them about why I'm the right agent. I'm gonna, I go straight down the buyer of contract, and I say, this is what we do, this is why we do it. These are my fiduciary duties, and they're gonna sign. So mindset and making sure that you're showing up, have confidence. They want to work with you. They want to work with you. They made that call. They reached out for that. They gave you the time because they want to work with you. So just get them to sign.
Wonderful. Thank you. Wow. Anyone else? Yes. Wonderful.
If the fair tax bill,
Say that loud.
Yeah, I couldn't hear that question.
sorry, if the fair tax bill passes, how does that affect it?
I have not looked into it. I don't know what piece of it they're referring to, if they have something more specific.
I think again, great question, but I think you hit on it earlier too, where you, like you said, the market, we can't change any of these things. So, and one of my favorite phrases, are we going to react or are we going to respond? We're definitely going to respond in a way of, like you just said, being confident. Another couple of things you said earlier that I love, what can I learn? You said that a couple different times, and I just love that. We hear that phrase learning based, but you're like, what can I learn? Humble, practice being humble. I loved it when you talked about trade and you're like, let's compete. You're competitive. You need to be competitive in this business. Love that. Like you referenced before, I can follow up. I like Kim's question, and I like how you dived in a little bit more, Jose. And what you really went to was you realized that it was the skill set, whether it was the lender, whether it was title, whether it was yourself. The leads were there, but actually something had to change there within the skill set to convert to closings.
Exactly.
So that was really powerful. And that's one of the things I'm hearing throughout this conversation today is that you're always kind of internally looking. You just referenced processing something late in the evening that someone else had said, and you maybe received it like, oh, I don't agree, but then processing it, thinking, thank you, you're right. So Gary Keller has always said before with the KPA, it's a behavioral assessment. What it really is, it's a thinking assessment. And I like the way you think. I love Joe's question earlier. If you have a question, let me know. I'm just kind of following up and some things that were discussed today. But what time? And so you're like, door knock when they're home. And so you just hit on that when you're calling. So you're calling from 5 to 9 and different things. People are going to be home. So those are some things there. And doing the follow-up. Fantastic. John.
One of the things I heard you say was that is when kind of to Kim's question, it's like, what are we looking at, right? And to the public, or maybe even to your wife or to the businesses, you see not a paycheck coming in. That's not necessarily focused on, because you knew from your previous experience, that's going to come.
Exactly.
So your focus was on the relationship, the follow-up, the leads, those things. It had nothing to do with the results, because you knew that was eventually going to come. So really, the challenge is, what are you focusing on today that's going to help you down the road, not focusing on down the road.
Exactly.
Before that,
Yes.
the question is, do you primarily focus on sellers or buyers?
We focus more on buyers, and it's just the business that we attract, and it's the business, it's what produces for us. There have been things that there have been things that I have spent time doing that ended up bringing me buyers. I'm like, well, let me focus on this. This was producing. So it's pretty much buyers, or mostly buyers. I'd say 75% buyers.
Earlier, you mentioned that you've never paid any money for leads.
No.
Okay. Perry's got a question here, and I've heard this question before in a panel, and I liked it. But I'll just read it how Perry has it here. Well, and the reason I'm doing this is because you're watching what you're spending money on.
Mhm.
So the question is, what purchase of $100 or less has most positively impacted your life in the last 6 months or in recent memory? And we'll stay with that question for a moment. In a panel, I heard a question very similar to this, and there was 4 agents. They were all at different brokerages. And the question was, if we're going to give you $500 today how are you going to spend that $500 in your business? And when I read this question, I like it because again, this is from the people in the room and online, kind of, because when I said a moment ago, we like how you think. How would you use this knowing that you don't pay for leads because you're going to manufacture them and you're going to hustle them the way you work? But I'm curious if $100 or even $500 in your business, what would you and or your team, how would you use that money?
I would say I'd probably say business cards and flyers. That's the cheapest thing you can do. If you're gonna knock doors, you need flyers, right? That's the other thing that we always left something behind. Always leave something behind. They might throw it away, but they might leave it at the house, and if they leave it, they saw your face. They can, when you call them, they're like, oh yeah, I remember.
Very good. I like that. And what I love, because I'm thinking back to those individuals and what they actually answered with, and many of them answered right in line with what their business model was. And you nailed it by just saying, I'm gonna use that money in flyers because I go out in the door knock. So again, that's part of your business.
Right now, what we do more is we mail cards, like thank you cards. So that right now where my business is today, that's where we do it. When I started, it was the flyers.
Very good. Very good. Any other questions?
One more. So
Okay.
this is kind of, Laura said, I would love for Jose to talk about his business in terms of clientele. He does about 90% of his business with first-time home buyers and almost 100% Spanish-speaking clients. Talk about the aspect of double the work to translate English to Spanish. Oh, one more thing. I would like to hear about his views on homeownership and what it does for his community. He's one of the top leading Spanish agents in the Twin Cities. It is a lower price point and a lot of lead gen follow-up.
Great. Thank you, Kimmy. Thank you, Laura, for positioning that question, that information that way. So expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, that's there's a lot that goes into that. Okay, so when it comes to my clientele, mainly Spanish speaking, what I could say is when I got into real estate, I did a lot of English marketing. And guess who responded? Spanish speaking people. They saw Jose, they're like, oh, right. So I said, well, I said, and it was more like leaving, like knocking doors, right? Leaving flyers. And then also like social media. I said, well, why am I doing this in English if what I'm getting is people who speak Spanish, right? So I focused on that. And I really strictly focused on that because that's what was giving me results. And if something changes and I have to focus on something else, I will do that. When it comes to the community that we serve, the biggest thing is I'm a first generation immigrant. I was not born here. And when we go back to opportunities, this is a land of opportunities. I love the U.S. I'm a U.S. citizen now, and I love that for the simple reason that I love I'm from the Dominican Republic. I love where I come from. I love who I am. I love the struggles that we've overcome to be here. But it comes to the opportunities. Are you going to take advantage of the opportunities, or are you going to find a reason to complain and say, you know what? So for example, for me, I know I have an accent or a slight accent. Some people think I'm from New York. I'm like, I'm not. But I could think that way, or but there's opportunity. What opportunities are you going to find? When it comes to the community that we serve, they're mainly a lot of people are first generation home buyers, and we're changing these people's lives. And again, the reason why I'm doing it and the reason why I didn't quit is because it wasn't about the money for me. For my wife, it was not. You have to pay bills, but it's not about the money. It's about helping people. And if you're in it to help people and you see the difference that you're making in these people, you're going to stick around. We do a lot of work. And to give you an idea, we have clients who need first-time DPA, down payment assistance. They don't make a lot of money. Sometimes dad, daughter, mom have to go on loan. Is it harder? Yes, we have to translate everything. We have to have a lot of conversations with them. We have to coach them. We have to hold their hands to make sure that they feel good. And that's the reason why my team is it's bigger in the sense of we have a lot of people that touch them to make sure that their needs are being met, because a lot of those conversations and doing it at a bigger volume, I can't have them all. But we really, we do. I can promise you that we do more than double the work that most agents do. And then at the end of the day, when people see that, they come back to you, right? Like when people see that, because people are they're gonna have other experiences. They're gonna see how much we do for them. And at the end of the day that we care, they're gonna come back. That's why your business grows. But yeah, it's we have clients who need down payment assistance. And I had a client, she bought a house. The market obviously, went up, and she would make $35,000 a year. She said people didn't even want to meet with her because of her legal status. They say, no, we can't help you. And I met with them. I'm like, yeah, we can help you. There are programs for that. You're of course you can buy. She bought a house. She was making about $35,000 a year. 2 or 3 years later, she decided to sell. She made over $70,000 on the sale of her home. That's life changing, right? And that's big. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's work that I love doing. I enjoy it. Yeah, I feel like we're making a difference. And I don't know if there's anything else that she wanted me to touch on.
Oh, I guess she was wondering just why you stick with it, but I think you touched on
Yeah, because I love it. And then the other thing is the other reason I focus on units, I don't focus on volume. How many people can we help? If it's a $500,000 client, if it's a $200,000 client, they deserve the same respect and the same treatment and the same service. It doesn't matter. I don't have, hey, I'm going to help you more if you're going to make me more money. No. At the end of the day, how many people can we help? And as long as we're doing things right by the client, the business is going to be there. Do you want a long business? Do you want a long business? Or you want to treat people right? Do you want to show them that you care and have a long career, or have a short career just trying to help, doing a job that's not good or right by your clients?
Wow. All right, Brent.
Have you been able to find, are your closers, lenders, are they also multilingual? Have you been able to find good partners in the inspections and all that, or do you pretty much, you end up having to do a lot of the bridge?
We do that. Unfortunately, I try to partner with different vendors, and the communication or the treatment towards the client has not been the same. And I can go back to what I just referenced. I felt like when it was a English speaking client, the service that they got was better than when it was a Spanish speaking client. And that doesn't sit well with me.
Thank you.
That's where you just hit on the piece earlier when we were talking about, that's the reason why your clients, your business, your community, they see and experience how much you care.
Yep. And it doesn't, and it doesn't have to be, when it comes to your business, you're like, well, I don't speak Spanish. It doesn't, that has nothing to do with it. It's what works for you. You have a sphere of influence, and you need to work on that, and you need to build that. And that's what's gonna give you results. Focus on the right things.
One of the reasons we do this, one of the reasons Perry has set this up is so we meet individuals like Jose today, and actually Jose and his team now become a part of our community and work, and how we can actually leverage and work with you and actually support your business, your community, vice versa. So on behalf of Perry, I would just like to say thank you. Man, it was a pleasure visiting with you today.
It was a pleasure.
And the rest of the group here. So thank you very much. Yeah, come on up one-on-one if you want to connect with them a little bit further. Man, love the drive, love the humbleness. And